Well, come on, welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Friday, September 6th, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. We are packed, locked and loaded, and ready to go, and it's an action-packed show from start to finish. On the program today, you'll hear from Steve Aird, Indiana's volleyball coach, Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Indiana, Tom Allen, the head football coach of the Hoosiers, and the Godfather, the Toddfather, Todd Leary. He's all that and more. Man, so much to talk about. I got back really, really late last night. My daughter plays soccer down in just south of Evansville for Madisonville North Hopkins. They got a pretty good team. They've unbeaten in their last 8 games. Coach Tishner's got them rolling. So proud of them. Bragging a little bit here. Yes, that's all right. I can do that. It's my show. They're unbeaten in their last 8 games. They've outscored their opponents. Listen to this. This may not be exact, but it's pretty close. 47-7. This is soccer I'm talking about. Soccer. 47-7 over their last 8 games. The last time they lost was like the number 5 team. It's fortunate Kylie last night scored the go-ahead goal and assisted on the insurance goal. Congratulations, Kylie. Killing it. But that whole team, they're doing great. It was fun. Before my daughter started playing soccer, I couldn't give a rat's butt about soccer. But it has really, and I'm being serious, it opened my eyes to how incredible of a sport it is. And I remember the thing that actually did that is I took her to a pro game, and I was just amazed. And I mean amazed at the intensity, at the speed of the game at that level. And then, of course, getting to follow the Indiana Hoosiers, both men's and women's, but especially the men's program. Coach Yeagley, obviously following up on the program that he's kept it at a high level that has been there. But, man, I really, really enjoy the sport, except for certain times like during the World Cup when you see all the flopping, but you just want to throw a rubber brick through the TV. But other than that, what an appreciation I've gained for that. Speaking of soccer, IU women's soccer, they lost a tough one last night, man. 1-0 to Louis down in Louisville on a penalty kick in the 78th minute. So they got it. Coach Edward Van Bennekom's trying to get them going. That's Louisville's 5-0. So they're getting there. That they lost 1-0 on a penalty kick to a 5-0 Louisville team last night. So that's pretty good. They play Morehead State Sunday at 1:00 at Bill Armstrong Stadium. If you're around and want to see that, the men's soccer, they're playing Denver up in South Bend today. So they're on the road this weekend. They'll be up there on Sunday against Seattle if you want to follow them. But you got a long way to go for that. IU women's volleyball is in action all weekend this weekend. And they talk about ramping it up, man. They've ramped it up a little bit. You've got Oregon, and we're live right now when we're taping. Or of course, we're live when we're taping. That's stupid. But when we're taping live, they're actually playing at 10 a.m. They have an early game against Oregon State, rather. And then tonight, if you're out and about or in Bloomington and you want to see some great volleyball over at Wilkinson Hall, the Hoosiers are taking on the Oklahoma Sooners. So there's a pair of Power 5 opponents that they've got this weekend, plus Yale on top of that. That's going to be on Sunday. But, man, that's the Hoosier Invitational, I think. Is what it's called, but I had the opportunity yesterday to speak with Coach Aird, as he's always so gracious with us, and I'm trying to hustle to get to that because I lost my spot. But they've got – you talk about another program that's on the verge of being turned around. It's that one. And I don't know why I can't get to that. It's driving me nuts. It disappeared on me, but I'll just keep trying and keep talking. But I had the opportunity to talk with Coach Aird yesterday about what is this stupid thing doing, about what they're doing. And there we go. Finally, it popped up. But let's hear what Coach Aird had to say. Coach Harrod, another big weekend for Indiana volleyball. You guys coming off of a tournament last week. You got another one coming in, but this week the competition level really kicking up. You're going to some Power 5 schools with Oklahoma, Oregon State, and even Yale, who's also very successful.
Yeah, big weekend. As we were mentioning earlier, it's one of the first times in a long time that Indiana volleyball is bringing in Power 5 teams in the preseason to play. So obviously an excellent Oregon State team plays in the Pac-12, which is one of the better conferences in the country. Oklahoma, the Sooners are good and great coaching staff, really good team. Be a very, very difficult match. And then Yale perennially is in the mix to win the Ivy League. Their RPI is always excellent. A lot of really, really good kids, a lot of California kids that they recruit that can play the game and know what's up. So it's a fun, challenging, tough weekend for us.
How important is it to you, to what you're trying to do here, to bring in this level of competition this early in the season?
Yeah, it's important. I think the Big Ten's not going anywhere. So the goal is to try to get as good as we can. And I think if you play a really soft preseason schedule, there's a false confidence about it. And we'll take our lumps here and there with 9 new kids and starting some freshmen and a bunch of new pieces. But I think it's important that we try to play quality teams and having the opportunity for our community and students and everyone to see really, really good volleyball teams play in the preseason before the Big Ten, I think is a huge deal.
Obviously, the ultimate goal is to win the matches. What else are you trying to get out of this for the team, for the players individually?
Well, we're still trying to figure out a lineup. We're 4 matches into the season. We had 2 weeks in preseason to try to figure stuff out with 9 new bodies. So moving stuff around, I would expect us to show some different looks this weekend and keep working on what we might want to get to and try to find the best lineup so we have some continuity well before we head into the Big Ten.
Going back to last week, you guys had a tournament, went 3-1 over the weekend. Talk about what came out of that. Obviously, there was a loss, but also 3 wins. So a big weekend.
Yeah, always good to start off positively. I think 3-1 we'll take. We played some good teams, 4 matches, 4 different lineups. First time that our freshmen got into matches and got to play in front of crowds, and moving some of the kids that we brought in, trying some people at different positions. So on the whole, you want to win every match you play, but we learned a lot. We got a lot of data. Got to spend some time this week in practice really working on fine-tuning a few things. And, experience is something you get after you needed it. So we're a lot better than we were a week ago, and sometimes you got to go through it to feel it.
We were talking about football earlier, and last week, Indiana, the big talk is the improvement from weeks 1 to week 2 on the football field. How is it for volleyball? Is it the same type of timeline?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think a lot of the preseason teams that we play, if we get a crack at them in October, November, after we've had a couple months under our belt, we'd be a lot tougher to play. But everyone's in the same boat. Everyone has the same duration for preseason. And I think that one of the hallmarks of the teams that I've coached and been part of is that they keep getting better all year. We're playing our best ball at the end of the year. But there is something to knowing who you're playing beside and with, learning tendencies of the people that you're playing with, what people do well, what they need help with. General communication stuff, how people talk on the court. I mean, it's the same thing as any other sport. It's going to take time.
And just like, again, using football as an example, throwing the passes, the timing, getting all of down, setting, bumping, all that stuff to whom you're talking, to whom you're using. Is that what you mean?
It's identical. Yeah. So, you want to be, it's like running a 10-yard out. If you run a 7-yard out, you're in trouble. If it's a 12-yard out, you're in trouble. It's the same thing with us. We want to set balls at a specific tempo in specific zones. Setters got to get reps so they feel good about it. The hitters got to work with the setter so they feel good about that. Defensively, one person being out of position kind of throws everything off defensively, and that just takes time and reps and practice. And luckily we had a really good week of that, so I feel good going into this weekend.
If we wanted to make it simplistic, just bumps that spike, but I know it's a way more than that. Going against a team like Oklahoma or Oregon State, are there differences in playing those teams?
No doubt. So every team has a different style, different systems. Some teams have one person who's setting the ball every second touch. Other teams have 2 setters, and they'll play. They're a little bit more physical. Some teams have elite players, top 10, 15 players in the country you got to really worry about. Other teams are great defensively. Santa Clara, who we played this past weekend, was an exceptional serving team. They put a ton of pressure on us from the end line and made it challenging as we were receiving serve with a bunch of kids in their first college action. So, there's a lot of different stylistic deals when we play these 3 matches over a couple days or 4 matches over 2 days like we did. You've got to make adjustments really, really quickly. And that's when it helps to have a really upper-class team or team you've trained for a number of years so everyone's on the same page. we don't have that luxury right now, and that's just the reality of where we are. But still feel good about what we did and what we're doing.
And like other sports, it's offense and defense. I know you talked about approaching these teams different offensively or defensively. How do you approach them differently offensively?
Well, some of it is matchups. It's something as simplistic as if they've got a 6'5" kid at the net, you probably don't want to run sets straight into her and trap kids where there's nothing you can do. And if they have undersized players at the net, you can run patterns and do different things to kind of open up. It's the same as anything else. You try to find your best players and get them an opportunity to play against the opponent's weaker players at certain positions, and then where you hit the ball. Some people are elite defensively, and they're great at digging the ball, and some people just aren't as good. So you got to be mindful of all of that. And in our sport, it's kind of hot potato. There's not a lot of time to think. You got to get rid of the ball and be really quick on your feet in a small space with 6 people. So it's what makes it fast and entertaining for people to watch. There's a point every play, and that's why the fans love it, and that's why the sport's growing, and we're excited.
Absolutely. The schedule's been jostled around a little bit. Football got moved because of television, which has affected you guys. What's the schedule going to be like?
Yeah, so we're going to play 10 o'clock Friday morning against Oregon State. We play 7 o'clock Friday night against Oklahoma. Specifically with that match, we understand during the day it's tough, but hopefully the 7 o'clock match on Friday night, football weekend, I think we're one of the only IU sports playing. We're hoping that's a huge night for fans. And then we're going to play Yale on Sunday. So, post-breakfast, brunch, church, all of the above. We hope people roll over at 1 o'clock, spend a couple hours with us on Sunday afternoon, and hopefully button up the weekend for a solid IU weekend. Hopefully football gets a win, we get a few wins, and everyone's feeling good.
You're serving mimosas, right?
It's my specialty, yeah, sure.
Good. Thank you a lot, Coach. I appreciate it. Good luck this weekend.
Oh, man, appreciate you.
There's Coach Steve Aird, Indiana volleyball coach, as they have a big weekend coming up, a couple Power 5 opponents. Oregon State this Friday morning, and then the Oklahoma Sooners Friday evening, and then Yale on Sunday. I mentioned this yesterday. I've been talking about this unbelievable connection between Indiana volleyball and the IU men's basketball program's history. Right now, you've got Brian Sloan, who played on the 87 national championship team. His daughter Megan is on the team. You've got Jeff Oliphant, who was also on that team with Brian. His daughter Sophie is on this team. Last year, Evan Fitzner played for Indiana basketball. Emily Fitzner is on this team. There's a girl that her dad played for Judd Heathcote at Michigan State, and another girl whose dad played for the Michigan Fab Five. On top of that, now Yale comes in on Sunday. Joe Hillman, who was also on that 87 national championship team, has a niece playing on the Yale team. So, wow, what a weird but cool connection there for those guys. And good luck to Coach Aird and the entire volleyball team for that as they take on that this weekend. Hey, we got a lot to get to today on the program. It is jack-packed and stacked. We're going to hear from Tom in the radio hour. That's what I'm going to have to start calling it the next hour. Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Indiana is going to join us. And, of course, the Toddfather. But coming up next, you're going to hear from Tom Allen as Indiana gets prepared to go into week 2 on the football field. Tomorrow they kick off against Eastern Illinois at 3:40. We've got all that and a lot more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with all that and more right after this.
Yes, I want you to be. There's a trend, there's a friend, it's a no and me.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former Hoosier basketball player Nick Zeisloff. Keep up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Wow, we're back. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Of course, coming to you here on this Friday, September 6th from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Indiana football heading into week 2. Kicking off tomorrow, 3:40 against Eastern Illinois. Coming off their win against Ball State last week. Everyone talks about, the coaches talk about there's such a big progression between weeks 1 and weeks 2. Well, we'll see about that. I mean, if that's the case, Michael Penix, he could throw for what, 600-700 yards. But the Indiana's a 35.5-point favorite. That's huge. That's respect. They're coming off of a 10-point win, just a 10-point win over Ball State, and yet Vegas has made them a 35.5-point favorite. So maybe they're expecting some grand improvement in weeks 1 and weeks 2 as well. Tom Allen talked about it. Let us know what it's going to be like. Talked about last week a little bit. Let's hear what Coach had to say.
Thought we had a good week. We had to correct the negatives from the game and build off the positives. So we felt like a big week of emphasis for tackling on defense. Even today in a Spiders practice, did drills for that and did every single day. Running the football, doing a great job with our technique up front offensively, and doing a better job of catching balls. Make sure we eliminate those drops. And so just trying to address the things we got to address and clean things up, get better. We want to be a better football team when we take the field on Saturday this week than we were last Saturday. So that's our goal.
There's
Questions?
always kind of that consistent refrain that week 1 to week 2 is when the most improvement happens. Is some of that just because you can see a difference in sharpness in practice with guys, because no matter whatever you do in spring, whatever you do in preseason, there's just a difference after they've played a game?
There is, and when you're playing another opponent, it always exposes things, and so it gives you a chance to really, like you said, everything you've done all spring and all fall camp has been against each other, so you really don't know, was one side of the ball stronger than you thought, not as strong as you thought, whatever, and so I just think that, and then you got a lot of new guys too. I mean, you got several guys that's their first game or maybe their first start, and so they're getting a chance to do that for the first time, and sometimes guys get either sometimes they perform better than you thought they were going to perform. Sometimes they don't perform quite as well. But then they get that first game under their belt, and they come back week 2, and they're much more comfortable. So there's probably a variety of reasons for it. But I think probably the biggest thing is just being able to coach off the film that you see. And now you got another week. You got a team now that played usually the week before. So you got some specific things that you can work on rather than just going through every game last year and kind of guessing on what you think they're going to do.
I know that you don't take any team lightly, but in a non-conference game early in the season, you're trying to balance how much to play Michael Penix, who needs the reps, but at the same time, you get to that point where you want to protect him. How do you judge how much to play him in a game like this?
Well, we're taking nothing for granted. I've been doing this long enough, and I've been on the other end of it. I've been at an FCS school and going to a place like this, and they got nothing to lose in the world to gain, so they're going to let it rip, and they're going to play really hard. And it's a tradition-rich program that we're playing. I just got done talking to our players about some of the great players that they've produced, and they've got a lot of great players on their team right now, and they're going to play very, very hard. They're well coached. They got a Big Ten head coach that's been a Big Ten assistant for many years and brings that, understanding of how you play in these venues. And I watched them last year against Arkansas, and they played really, really hard and scored 20 points on an SEC team. So, anyways, I just think that we'll deal with those as they come. But the bottom line is that we want to approach this thing like it's a normal situation, which it is. We got to go out and play our best football and then react from there.
How much does it help, especially the young kids, to actually see themselves on film for a game and learn from that?
I think it's huge. I just think you can't put a price tag on it. Like you mentioned before, all those, all the reps you get tackling, whether it was positive or negative, you still got great things to coach off of. And we just made some adjustments for me in the way we've been kind of presenting things to make sure we're getting it right. And then I just think for both sides of the football, execution on offense, just being able to have more being more comfortable with what we're doing. Even having a quarterback that's got a game under his belt now, a full set of reps, and just be able to let those guys be coached and accept the positives and the negatives that come from a week 1 performance, and then just keep getting better.
How's Cam Jones?
Yeah, he's working hard, and so we'll see. He's we'll have to make a decision on him, game time for that. But obviously, the objective is to get him back 100%. And if he's not 100%, he's not going to play.
Reese Taylor, do you expect him back?
Yeah, I expect him to play. So he's been here back all week. And like I said, it was a 50-50 last week. We probably could have played him, but chose not to. And I'm glad we were able to keep him for another week to keep him healthy.
Was Cam's injury a game injury? Or was
it was, and it was at the end, too, so which kind of stinks. But, yeah, it happened there in the last drive.
Simon Stepanek said, I think, on the radio show that the offensive line has a chip on its shoulder. It seemed like a group.
Well, they took it personally, and I called them out in two regards, to be able to run the football better. And that's a proud group, and there's 3 seniors on there that some of our biggest, strongest guys on the team, some of our best leaders, and they know that, they load the box or not, you got to run the football, and so they're I expect them to respond in a positive way. So
you talked about a lot of things that needed to be cleaned up after the first game, and all the coaches talk about the progress that's usually made between games or weeks 1 and 2. What's it been like out in practice for you? What have you seen as far as to getting that done?
Well, I thought we pick a word each week, and consistency is the one word that I chose for the theme for the week, and I thought it was very appropriate because we have to be consistent in the way that we approach every single practice, no matter what happens the previous week. And as a matter of fact, there's a phrase that I got from we brought in a sports psychologist here over the end of fall camp, and talks about embracing the boredom of consistency. That elite athletes can do that. And I think it's a great way to say it, because it does get monotonous, it does get mundane, it does get how can you do that day after day, week after week? And I know we're early in the season, but still they've been going at this for a while, and so especially these older guys, and how do you still get sharper through all that? So to me, it's just about using that theme and that concept to approach it to how we get better. And I think our guys have embraced that. I think when you have a way to focus it in with words and different ways of presenting it, it becomes real to these guys. And they understand that they want to be a special football team. They want to do great things here, and we want to be able to break through and make history here in Indiana. In order to do that, you have to consistently, address the things that show up on film and keep getting better every time you take that field. And I think we got enough leadership that I expect that to happen.
So you talk about having film to look at. What's been the differences with Mike this week as he's gone through just all the kind of day-to-day of being the starting quarterback, going through the film from the previous game, getting ready for the next game? Has there been a huge tangible difference for you?
Well, just from observation of practice, and then from today's practice, I just think it just seems more comfortable, more relaxed. He's a pretty poised guy naturally, but I just think just overall and just running the offense. I just think it just gives you, there's nothing, and that's one thing that I've learned, when I made the transition from high school to college. It's just such a whole different in that 48 hours leading up to kickoff, when you leave the field on a Thursday until you have a lot of walkthroughs and meetings between that 2-day period there, that's where you really kind of sear into understanding what we're doing schematically, because you go in fall camp and you just learn a lot of stuff. Now you're zeroed in on a game plan. Same with the quarterback. You zero in on a game plan, and it creates a ton of confidence in those guys when they study so much, and you meet and you ask tons of questions, and they're asking questions, and you give them these review sheets, and they take quizzes, and they watch film, and just all these things that lead up to kickoff. That's what we say we're going to coach till kickoff. And I think as a quarterback, especially a young one like that, man, when you go through that process, there's nothing like it. You can't simulate it. There's nothing like the game creating that situation and sense of urgency that creates. And so I just felt like that he benefited from that, and just seemed, I think every week he'll just keep more and more relaxed, more calm, more understanding of what he needs to do and how he needs to, run the offense with that kind of confidence.
You mentioned the 5 freshmen on your radio show yesterday that have a chance, not to redshirt and play all season. What have you identified in those 5 guys in particular that stand out?
I think if you go through, Sean Ratcher, obviously he's going to play. He's our starting long snapper, so he's a guy. David Ellis, proved to me that he's a guy that needs to play. Taiwan Mullen's a guy that was out there, he's going to play. And so I just think those kind of guys that stick out to me that even a guy like Samson James. I would, to me, he's a guy that's a big part of what we want to do. Yeah, he didn't give as many touches as I expect him to in the future, but just getting him involved in the process, I expect him to play. A guy like Matt Bedford didn't play, but I can see him being a guy that really is right there in the mix. And I think those guys are really, a big part of what we want to be able to do. So there's going to be more guys pop up, and it's never an exact science of how you figure it out. It's a week-to-week thing, but like you said, we have a base plan. We have guys on certain boards and certain lists, and sometimes those lists change based on injuries and things that happen throughout the season. So, but the bottom line is we got good core guys that we think we can get involved and get some value reps. DK is a guy that we got to figure out. Do you use the whole year for a guy that's going to focus on special teams? If he brings enough value in all those special teams, then you say, okay, if it's going to help us win football games, then we're going to do, with special team. But at the same time, if you can help, play in those 4 games, decide what those 4 are going to be, balance it up with maybe another guy that can play in those 4 positions or those 4 games in a similar position that's also a freshman, and you're trying to match that up as well. So that's kind of the behind-the-scenes thought process we go through.
How's Peyton and Jack been at practice the last couple weeks?
Man, I tell you what, I just awesome. And it's really, I had a chance to talk to Jack even yesterday, sit down with him one-on-one. Obviously done that with Peyton already, but just continue to talk to him and just encourage him and just see where they're at. But, they're very super positive. They're, when Peyton's in there getting all the 2 reps and does a great job. He executes the offense very, very well and will be ready to go when called upon. So, and then Jack's the guy that knows, his best football is ahead of him. I just really feel like he's got so much potential to be a great, great quarterback for us and has a lot of great qualities, and so I just got to keep encouraging him, I know in this era of quarterback mindsets, it's different, you look at it across the country, and it's a unique situation that we find ourselves in, but these are 2 pretty special guys that I think have really bought in and care about this team and want to help us do whatever we can to win.
Coach Stevie Scott said that he and the running backs were excited to get to watch the film, get back to practice. How they responded this week after.
Very good. I think they work really well together. As is always the case with a position that's got a lot of guys in it. There's always going to be a guy or 2 that doesn't play as much as they want to play. But my challenge with all those guys is when you're called upon, perform. And that's the key. Whether you get 1 opportunity, 2, 5, 10, 18, 20, whatever you get. When you get those, and on special teams too, you better. We have to use Samson James on special teams, and that's what we tell these guys. Hey, you guys want to be NFL guys. If you're not the starter at a position, you better be a great special teams player as a receiver, as a running back. The defensive positions are given, but those guys always think that way, And so, but those other guys, Ryan Walker's got to be able to do that, and Samson's got to be able to do that, and you get Cole Guest and some special teams opportunities. So that to me is what we want out of that group, and so I think they want to run the football well too, and they want it to be great as we challenge all the time to be a complete back, blocking, catching, running.
Your defensive line is a line by committee of sorts and a lot of inexperience, but they're gaining that as you go along. What have you seen in their progress?
Well, there were a lot of positives from the game. I think D-Mac, DeMarcus Elliott, I thought really played well, and showed us some good bursts, I think. Jerome has a chance to be a dominant player. That's my challenge to him. I think he can be really, really special. Having Juan back and getting him in there, he's a very, very consistent player for us right now, And then Al Stallings is just finally kind of getting back. He's been out with, springtime and then even some in fall camp we're working through with his body. And so, but he's now going full bore and excited again. I thought Mike Ziemba played well. He did, still got to be more consistent, but flashed and making some plays. Got to finish that 1 sack. But I just think as a group, group. We just got to find more depth at that three technique position, and Shamar did some good things. He's really quick, and then, Jonathan King, another guy expected just elevate their level of play. And so I could list a lot of guys. Then you got Gavin Everett, who's just Mr. Consistency, and gives phenomenal effort, and he's just a tough guy, So James Head's another one that so all those guys in there, it's definitely a group by committee. I actually like it that way. It allows our guys to stay fresh, and then also allows us to be able to just play a lot of guys, keep a lot of guys engaged, involved, and help us be a very good defense.
You said something else last night about Coach Ben Davis that you worked under would just let guys who were freshmen and sophomores just return the ball just to know if they had.
That's how you could tell if they could be a running back. That was totally his philosophy was, hey, kick the guy back there and turn him loose. And just, as he would always say, hey, God decides who the good running backs are, because it's just an instinctive, natural thing. You can't teach a guy to set a block up and cut, obviously the twitchiness and the burst and all those kind of things. And it's a very natural, when you have a feel for how to run the football, and so I've never forgot that, and so, but I think kickoff returns shows that. The guys are really good at running with the ball in their hand, and so obviously David Ellis has a gift for that, and it's pretty obvious.
I think you mentioned you were like 8 or 9 years old in the stands watching the Holiday Bowl team.
Yeah, I was 9 years old and at the Holiday Bowl.
What did you remember about that team that kind of made it special?
For me, we had one of my dad's, one of his players. My dad was offensive coordinator, and Coach Service was the head coach at Newcastle, and Johnny Boyd played for Indiana. At the time he was young, but just being able to, to me, Coach Corso is what I remember the most. I actually remember watching his coaches shows, and they were all. It just was, I was a kid for sure, but just they were very entertaining, And but it's energy that he brought, and I didn't really I didn't really understand everything, but just understood that, man, they won a bowl game, And I remember Brigham Young at the time they had all those good quarterbacks, which they're known for, and they threw the ball around, And just I remember that game, I do, as a kid, and so it's just to have that group back. As a matter of fact, I called all 4 of the captains last night personally, and talked to them, and just excited to have them as their honorary captains for the game, and just that group of guys, So they're obviously 40 years ago. It's hard to believe, my goodness, but how quickly time passes. But just the thing I remember was just Coach Corso, and just the way Tim Clifford. I remember him. We always know the quarterback, So, but just those names that jumped out, and just being able to cheer for the Hoosiers, my home state team.
What's it mean to you as a head coach? And now you keep in contact with Coach Corso. What's that mean to you?
Pretty cool, and he's just such a. You see him on game day, and he just has given so much to our game, but just appreciate him. He's been so positive and so excited about what we're building, the way we're building it. He believes in what we're doing, and just wants to see the Hoosiers really do well, So it's just really neat to have a guy like that in our corner and cheering for us.
Just one follow-up on David Ellis. When you talk about that gift he had, did you see it in his high school film? Was it something when you arrived here that you saw?
Well, the high school film, this is what I would say. So to me, as we evaluate David, when the bigger the game, the better he played. And I feel like at times, sometimes guys, it comes easy for them in high school, and they don't always play as hard as they have to, or until they have to. And to me, I think that's what he did. And sometimes you got to work through that when you get him here. But then when he got here, I just felt like he was a step quicker. I felt like he got some more thickness. We always knew he had a good, lower body strength and size. And then I just think that he's a better player. He's a better player here than I thought he might be early on. I knew he was going to be a good player for us eventually, but to say he's going to come in and be one of those guys that's going to play as a true freshman, you don't know that right away. And so I just think this is ball skills, more of a natural receiver running routes that I thought we looked at more as a hybrid running back type guy, third down guy, but as he gets bigger and stronger, man, I think he's got a lot of value. He can do a lot of different things for you, in that slot position. And so we'll use him in that way. But yeah, to me, he's just kind of like a little bit like Stevie in regards to he was a better player as a true freshman than you may have thought he was going to be. All right, great. Thanks, Leo.
Thanks.
That was Coach Tom Allen as the Hoosiers prepare to go into Eastern Illinois. Well, not going into the game with Eastern Illinois tomorrow at Memorial Stadium. 3:40 is the kickoff. Plenty of time for tailgating. Expecting a big game out of the offense, and the 1979 Holiday Bowl team will be there, so that'll be kind of cool. I've got a clip later on. I hope I can find with that I did with Lee Corso a couple of years ago, so look for that. But we got a lot more coming up. A lot of basketball to talk about as Indiana made another offer to Andre Corbello, a point guard out of Long Island, New York. We'll talk about all that and lots more. And some football, NCAA football, the NFL, Antonio Brown. Get out of here with that crap. We got a lot more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back with more right after this.
Not to something that has never showed him anything. Oh, feeling understands the weather of the winter's on its way.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
Dogs begin to bark, hounds begin to howl.
Man, I could just let that thing play on a little bit. A little blues from the Stones. Welcome you back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Friday, September 6th. Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. It's game day before. Game weekend, I should say. Eastern Illinois coming to town as the Hoosiers going into week 2 of the football season as they prepare for the Buckeyes next week. Well, that'll be a busy, busy week. Hey, before I get to the football talk and the basketball talk, a little bit of baseball. Now, I've already lost it. Kyle Schwarber. How about Schwarbs? The Grand Slammy last night. I mean, the dude is on a tear. He's hit 34 home runs. That's a career high. Last night, the Cubs, who were fighting for the division lead in the Central Division, National League Central Division, they're 2.5 games back of the Cardinals. I know that makes Andy Graham very, very happy. He's a big Cardinals fan. But last night they were on the road, and this is what happened.
A majestic home run for Kyle Schwarber. Not too long ago on a 3 home run game in this ballpark. A halftime granny at that.
Kyle Schwarber with number 34 on the season, a grand salami. Cubs go on to win that game 10-5 against the Brew Crew. So, congratulations to Swarby, man. Woo! My man's on fire! He's killing it. He's killing it. Indiana basketball made an offer. Well, we're going to talk about the TV schedule. That was recently released as well. But another offer out to Andre. He's originally from Puerto Rico. Playing out of Long Island, New York. He's a 6-foot point guard, a position that Indiana desperately needs. They've been trying to land a point guard for 2 years without success. But they may have a shot at this guy. From how he talks, he's looking for basically, he wants, as Tim texted in the show, the Curbelo kid says he's looking for a family to take care of him, wants a team that hangs together in basketball tradition. Well, IU has that. This is from Tim. He just needs to come and see it. He will, of course, be welcome for life. And like Geronimo said, he loved how the players were close and moved about as a pack. But that's, it surprised me when Coach Miller said that he could take up to 6 players in this class. They've only got 4 available scholarships, which that doesn't mean anything, obviously. But what it does mean is if they were to take 6, somebody's leaving. 2 people would be leaving. Don't know who those 2 could possibly be, but they would have to. And then when you look at the fact that next year the 2021 class is pretty it's pretty loaded. So do you sacrifice guys out of that class for this one? I don't know. Curbelo is someone that Indiana's been watching for and been in contact with for a couple of months. This was reported on Twitter that the offer was made. He's rated as the number 7 point guard nationally in the 2020 class. That's per 247 Sports, the composite. He plays his high school ball at Long Island Lutheran. That's the same program where current IU guard Devontae Green came from. Some people are going to love, some people still love Devontae, some don't. Devontae's grown into his role, man. Devontae's going to be huge for Indiana this year. He has to be. He's the guy. He's the guy this year. But the 6-foot Curbelo averaged 16 points per game, 8 assists, and almost 8 rebounds, 4 steals for his Long Island Lutheran team. He's a point guard in the truest sense. He was among the leaders in assists on the Adidas Gauntlet AAU circuit throughout the spring and summer. Overall, during AAU play, Curbelo averaged 16 points per game while shooting 53% from the field. Let me say that again. 53%. That's accurate. That's getting the ball in the bucket. He only attempted 14 three-pointers in 15 games, and he only made 3. So, obviously, don't shoot from behind the arc if they get him. Just dish the ball to somebody else. 3-point shooting is not his deal, and that's okay. Because he added nearly 8 assists, 4 rebounds, with only 1.8 turnovers, and a steal per game in the Adidas deal. So there's your next. He's ranked 52nd overall in the 2020 class. He's got dozens of offers, including Kansas, Louisville, St. John's, Illinois, Texas Tech, Pittsburgh, Florida, Providence, and West Virginia. He has told the recruiting sites that he will start scheduling his visits this month. So there's a missing piece for Archie Miller. He desperately needs a backup point guard. Now, he's going to turn around and try to sign Christian Lander next season. He's gone. He's out of cycle with his point guards. Let's be honest. He needed a point guard for the last 2 years and could not land one. And he's still trying to get that. But now you're in this weird position timeline-wise because you got Lander. If he can get Lander, you got Lander coming in the year after. And not sure how that's going to go, but nothing I'm going to worry about. But Indiana football kicks off tomorrow, don't forget. The IU basketball schedule was released. The times, all of that good stuff. Anything that you saw that you liked? Nothing that really jumped out at me. Several games on CBS. ESPN, of course. I think there's, 5 games on? I'm trying to remember how many games that they had on CBS. Starting times for 5 games on the. They play Notre Dame in the Crossroad Classic this year, of course. BTN Plus is going to carry Hoosier Hysteria. They're going to carry the exhibition, the Western Illinois, and the Portland State game. Of course, the Big Ten Network is going to carry the bulk of Indiana's schedule. They're going to have a couple preseason games: North Alabama, Troy, and the Indiana Challenge, Princeton and the Indiana Challenge, Louisiana Tech and the Indiana Challenge, as is South Dakota State, also in an Indiana Challenge. Whatever, I don't even understand why they even call it that. It's not like there's no tournament.
Is that like the Hoosier Classic from a while ago?
Back in the day, they used to have 2 of them. They had the Indiana Classic and the Hoosier Classic, of which, they would play teams like this. But the Big Ten Network also carrying a number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 10 Big Ten games, plus Arkansas. As the Razorbacks come to Bloomington on December 29th. CBS has got a couple of games scheduled at the moment, some biggies. Maryland comes to Bloomington in January, and then the Hoosiers travel to Michigan. ESPN2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games on ESPN2. And then, of course, Fox also picking up 5 games when the Hoosiers travel to Maryland. They've got Ohio State at home, Michigan State at home, Penn State at home, and the return game with Purdue up in West Lafayette. The home game against Purdue will be included on the ESPN2 broadcast, but you can find that entire schedule any and everywhere. We've got it posted on our site, IndianaSportsBeat.com. So plenty to get to there. NCAA football underway this weekend. Not a lot of games. And I looked through the entire schedule for other than, of course, we'll be out at Indiana taking on Eastern Illinois, but you always try to find those good games. And the 2 best games that I saw were number 12 Texas A&M taking on number 1 Clemson. Let's see, what time is that? Got to scroll back down through. That's a 3:30. Too bad. I'll be watching Indiana. Clemson's a 17.5-point favorite. The other game, and the absolute best game of the day to check out is going to be number 6 LSU at number 9 Texas. That's a 7:30 game. I would assume that is the college game day game. Gotta be. It's 7:30 plus it's the best game of the day. Has to be. How about Prairie View A&M at Houston? I remember the first time I ever heard of Prairie View A&M as a kid. There's some skinny, waggly receiver playing for them. They were just putting up video game numbers. Do you know who I'm talking about? Played for the San Francisco 49ers. Jake?
Jerry Rice?
Yeah, Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice, man. That was my introduction to Prairie View A&M when I was a kid. You know, the fun thing on Saturday is the late games. When the day's done, you're tired, you're at home. Of course, I'm talking about old people like me. The 10:30 games, the West Coast games that come on. Minnesota out of the Big Ten traveling out west to take on Fresno State. Fresno State is where Kalen DeBoer came from most recently. So there's the game to check out, although Indiana does not play the Golden Gophers this year. Here you go. If you're still up and you're still going, thank gosh for Hawaii. The Oregon State Beavers heading over to the Big Island to take on the Rainbows of Hawaii. That game starts at midnight. That means you can watch football for 18 hours? I mean, nearly that game won't get over until 3:30 in the morning. And the day starts at 11 in the morning? Actually, you got college game day that starts, and actually, again, you've got the pre-college game day that starts at 8 a.m. Then the regular college game day comes on at 9. And it goes up to noon, I think. You can literally watch football for 16 hours. I'd have to say get a life at that point. But man, it's all here, man. It is all here. I'm gonna make sure I haven't missed anything that I really. Oh yes, little NFL news. And I'm so sick and tired of hearing this dude's name, Antonio Brown. Are you a Steelers fan?
No.
Jake?
No.
I couldn't remember, man. I know Justin is. But Jake, what did you say in the break about Antonio Brown?
I think he's having some early onset CTE issues, possibly. Because since that hit that he took from Vontaze Burfict, he's been having some issues.
Issues is right. He goes through, he filed 2 different grievances, lost them both because he wanted to use a 10-year-old helmet that has been, I don't want to say outlawed, but you can't use them anymore per NFL. They've got better equipment. Their goal is to take care of the players because of the CTE issue. No, that wasn't good enough for this guy. He thinks that he's going to be beyond the league and get this special exemption. He needs an exemption, all right. So he loses both grievances, but he's skipping practice the whole time while he's doing this. So he ends up getting fined by, was it Mayock? What's the GM's name? I forget. Mayock, the Raiders GM. So they end up fining him. Well, apparently they get into a deal. I don't know if it's a physical altercation or not, but there was an altercation of some kind. So they're going to cut his ass. He's going to throw away a guaranteed $30 million because he's a moron or he's got a mental issue going on right now. If he's got a mental issue, I don't want to crack on him. But until then, I'm going to crack on him. Gee whiz. I'm sick and tired of hearing his name, I'll be honest with you. So, enough of that. Out. Joker text in, was watching the IU-UM 1993 basketball game at Michigan, the Fab Five. Saw the Toddfather got messed out of 2 career points, free throws because of a lane violation. Might have moved him up a spot on the scoring list. We'll have to ask him about that, Joker. 2. How do you get 2 lane violations? Come on, man. Joker, who was the lane violations on? That's what I want to know. I'm going to bring that up to Todd when he's on. Who are the lane violations against? I want to know who did this twice. I got to know that. That's crazy. Another text in the show from Tim. Oh, we got, all right. If we get a point guard and center, our 220 class could be a starting 5. There you go. All right. We got a lot more coming up here on the program. Tom Broof of Sports Illustrated Indiana is going to join us. And the Toddfather here in the radio hour. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, come along and welcome aboard the Indiana Sports Beat Radio, of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios here on this Friday, September 6th. Man, it's the weekend. Lots of sports going on. Lots of sports already happened. Lots to get to. A lot of soccer. But I'll start with my favorite, Kylie soccer. If you're living in the Evansville area, listen to us on the ref. You're familiar with the Madisonville North Hopkins. That's where my daughter plays. Coach Tister's got them rolling, man. They're unbeaten in their last 8 games, I think. Outscoring opponents something like 47-7. This is soccer we're talking about. Practice? No, soccer. Man, last night was the 2 tough games this week. Beat Marshall County last night, one of their rivals, top rivals, 4-1. That team had given up no more than 1 goal all season. They should have lost 6-0 last night, if you want to know the truth. Proud of them, though. Do a little braggy. It's my show. I can do whatever I want. But happy for all of them. Kylie did score last night and an assist. So happy for her. But keep rolling, guys. Speaking of soccer, the IU women's soccer team lost a tough one, man. They were down in Louisville. 78th minute, a penalty kick. They lose 1-0. Tough loss. Evan Van Bennekom trying to get that program up and running. Louisville's 5-0. So pretty good showing. I mean, a loss is a loss, but hey, man, you got to take a victories where you can find it when you're trying to grow a program. They're back in action Sunday at 1 at home at Bill Armstrong Stadium against Morehead State. The men's soccer team, they're on the road this weekend. They're up in South Bend taking on Denver today and then Seattle on Sunday. IU volleyball's in action. They're taking on Oregon State as I speak. Early game with the Beavers today, man. But they got a couple Power 5 opponents this weekend. Tonight, if you're out and about, you need something to do, they're back in action at Wilkinson Hall at 7 against the Oklahoma Sooners. And you know, if you listen to the show, you know I've been talking about this incredible connection between the volleyball program and the IU basketball program. Brian Sloan, who was a member of the 87 National Championship basketball team, his daughter Megan Sloan is on this team. Jeff Oliphant, his teammate, was on that team. His daughter Sophie is on this team. Evan Fitzner, who played on the team last year, his sister Emily is on this team. There's a girl whose dad played for Judd Heathcote. There's another girl whose dad played on the Fab Five. And yet the 87 connection continues because on Sunday, IU plays Yale, and Joe Hillman, who was on that 87 team, his niece is on the Yale team. Kind of a cool, weird connection, man. Cal Schwarber for the Cubs, former Hoosier, having a career year, 34 home runs now after the grand salami last night. Hit a fatty, 10-5 over the Brewers as they're 2.5 games back of the Cardinals in that Central Division trying to get back. The Indiana basketball schedule was released, times and all that. You can find that posted on our site, indianasportsbeat.com. You can the times you can just plan your winter around Indiana basketball. Most of the games are going to be on the Big Ten Network, of course, but you got CBS, Fox, ESPN, ESPN2. NCAA football underway this weekend. Again, week 2, we head into week 2. The Hoosiers kicking it off at 3:40 tomorrow, Memorial Stadium against Eastern Illinois. You know, this is where Tim texted in and reminded me, this is where Cade Womack, the defensive coordinator, got his first DC job. So there's a little connection there. But got to talk to Coach Tom Allen yesterday, and he talked about the game coming up and how things have been and all that. So let's hear what Coach had to say real quick.
Thought we had a good week. We had to correct the negatives from the game and build off the positives. So we felt like a big week of emphasis for tackling on defense. Even today in a spiders practice, did drills for that and did every single day. Running the football, doing a great job with our technique up front offensively, and doing a better job of catching balls. Make sure we eliminate those drops. And so just trying to address the things we got to address and clean things up, get better. We want to be a better football team when we take the field on Saturday this week than we were last Saturday. So that's our goal. Questions?
Always kind of that consistent refrain that week 1 to week 2 is when the most improvement happens. Is some of that just because you can see a difference in sharpness in practice with guys, because no matter how, whatever you do in spring, whatever you do in preseason, there's just a difference after they've played a game?
There is, and when you're playing another opponent, you always exposes things, and so it gives you a chance to really, like you said, everything you've done all spring and all fall camp has been against each other. So you really don't know, is it, was one side of the ball stronger than you thought, not as strong as you thought, whatever. And so I just think that, and then you got a lot of new guys too. I mean, you got several guys that's their first game or maybe their first start, and so they're getting a chance to do that for the first time. And sometimes guys get, either sometimes they perform better than you thought they were going to perform. Sometimes they don't perform quite as well. But then they get that first game under their belt, and they come back week 2, and they're much more comfortable. So there's probably a variety of reasons for it. But I think probably the biggest thing is just being able to coach off the film that you see. And now you got another week. You got a team now that played usually the week before. So you got some specific things that you can work on rather than just going through every game last year and kind of guessing on what you think they're going to do.
I know that you don't take
That's Coach Tom Allen talking about the happenings of the Indiana football teams. They'll take on Eastern Illinois tomorrow. 3:40 is the kickoff time. That gives you plenty of time to tailgate, man, to get primed. Tomorrow, first day ever, beer sales allowed at Memorial Stadium. You don't have to sneak it in anymore, Jake. You're good. You can wave your freak flag and wave your beers around and say, yeah, and you can point them at the usher going, I have a beer. And you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about getting kicked out.
You still have to worry about getting kicked out, but...
Well, if you drink too many of them, yes, you do. Yes, you do. And that reminds me, a lot of people, the zealots get up. There have been multiple studies done, and it shows that the venues that started selling alcohol had a reduction in alcohol-related incidents. That is a proven fact. So there you go. There's that. Text into the show from Joker. He texted earlier about that he was watching the Indiana-Michigan game in 1993 at Michigan against the Fab Five. The Toddfather got 2 free throws taken away because of lane violations. And I said, who was this? I've got to know. All the violation was on a 1-and-1, and it never said who it was. Well, all right, I'm going to ask Todd who it was. It was on the front end of a 1-and-1. He said it could have moved him up on the scoring list. We had to Joker, when he comes on, he's on the next segment. The Toddfather joins us next. But just in case that slips my mind, we get going. Make sure you remind me of that. Keep the text coming into the show, and 812-269-6367. You can also send questions in anytime. A lot of people don't get the opportunity to listen live, whether it's on the radio stations that we're on or live on online. A lot of people listen via podcast on the rebroadcast afterwards. You can still text in anytime you want. I'll get to it. I may get to it the next day, but if it's after the show. But the text number, 812-269-6367. Of course, you can also reach me on Twitter at Jim Coyle ISB. And I got to give a shout out to Ben Malcolmson. He runs one of the fan pages. He threw up something yesterday, and I had my single biggest day gain of followers, man. So thanks a lot to Ben for that. He has a loyal fan following amongst the fan. He does a good job running that fan page, Hoosiers United. So thanks again for that. But, yeah, a lot going on, man. It's a big weekend. You've got volleyball going on. You've got soccer, women's soccer at home on Sunday. The men's soccer team is traveling, of course, and football tomorrow, man. Football tomorrow. First home game. And it's a 3:30 kickoff, so you got all morning to tailgate. It's awesome. That's why I hate the noon games, just because that starts such an early day for me. That's like a 6 o'clock a.m. wake-up call for a noon day for me. So that means I get to sleep in tomorrow. And trust you me, I will. 700 miles of driving this week going to Kylie soccer. They'll wear a man out. But the Toddfather joining us next. Tom Brew's also on the program today from Sports Illustrated Indiana. If you don't follow Tom, you really need to. He has had some great articles out here of late. Had a great 4-part series on the IU Florida connection. Of course, he spent a lot of time in Florida, down with some newspapers down there in the Tampa area. So there's a good connection there. Kyle Schwarber, I mentioned earlier. See if I can pull this back up. Schwarbs is going nuts, man. He's having a career year. 34 home runs on the season now. Home runs. 34. I don't remember what his previous career high was, but it was not 30. He had not hit that mark yet. And he did it, and he hit number 34 last night. And he did so in grand style. A grand salami. The Cubs are actually trailing the Cardinals 2.5 games in the National League Central Division, which surprised me. I didn't realize they were 2 games back. But here's a little sound for you.
Schwarber, number 34. A majestic home run for Kyle Schwarber.
A majestic home run for Kyle Schwarber. Man, if you watch it, if you pull it up and watch it, they cut away to a shot of the dugout, and I didn't see who it was, but he's sitting there acting like he's hitting the ball out. It's like kids, man. They're like kids. They're having fun. Hey, we're having fun, too, and we got a lot more of it coming. The Toddfather makes his weekly appearance. Everybody looks forward to that, as do I. Never know what he's going to say. On the program today, also, Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Indiana going to join us. Lots more coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Indiana Sports Beat Radio, back with lots more. And the Toddfather right after this.
Hello, Mom. Cherry Bob. Hello, world. I'm your wild girl.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach
Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for it each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Ryan Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former Hoosier basketball player Nick Zeisloff. Keep up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. You know, it kind of sounds like a funeral the more I hear it.
You know, I work in a funeral home, right?
That's right.
I got
Welcome
places
back to
I can put you,
Indiana
buddy.
Sports Beat Radio here on the Golf from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Joined now by our absolute favorite segment of the week. The Toddfather joins us. Todd Leary, how's it going, brother?
It is going good. It's a beautiful Friday morning.
Hey, the last we talked, you were heading out to Victoria National for some golf. How did that go?
It went very long all weekend. I was I bet I put in more hours than any other person, maybe than the head pro or maintenance crew there last weekend, because I was there early and stayed late every day. I loved every second of it.
Did you end up caddying for anybody?
I did not. Nobody needed my expertise. I was pretty surprised, but
A shock. It's a shocker.
No, they survived on their own, believe it or not.
I can't believe it. Hey, we had a text into the show earlier from Joker. He said he was watching the 1993 IU-Michigan game up against the Fab Five, I think up at Michigan. He said you got screwed out of 2 career points. It could have moved you up a spot on a you had a 1+1, and on the front end somebody committed a lane violation. And I said, who the hell committed a lane violation? And he didn't know. Do you remember that? Okay, I can't hear you, so I'm not sure if we lost him.
Sorry,
Jake, there he is.
I fat face muted you. Sorry.
That's all right. Did you hear what I said?
I think it was Calvert. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was Calvert.
Really? Oh man.
I mean, he was a superstar. He didn't know the rules very well, but he was a superstar. I'm just kidding. It was kind of weird. It was kind of weird timing. You know, the funny part is Coach Knight blamed me for that, for taking the ball from the official.
Oh, really?
Swear to you. Yeah, he blamed me for it because he said I should. He said I should have been able to see. I think it was Calvert or Greg Graham. I should have been able to see one of them walking away from the line, and I shouldn't have taken the ball from the official. And I was, that's one of those things you're just like, yeah, you're right, Coach. I should have. What are you going to say?
Oh, man, it's football season. Have you been watching any football? Did you see that crap game last night in the NFL?
Well, this won't surprise you, but I started watching it and fell asleep. There wasn't anything to keep me awake, obviously. But, I love college football. I'm not as big of an NFL fan as just like I love college basketball. I'm not as big an NBA fan. So I'm just more of a college sport person. We're
on the same page there. Lots coming up this weekend, man. As a matter of fact, I wish I had all the point spreads, but there was 3 games I was wanting to pick, and I was going to bet Buffalo's on it. Georgia is a 48-point favorite over Murray State. Would you ever bet a game that's a 48-point?
You got to pick Georgia when I'm on the phone, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, when you get to some of those, I saw I think Alabama's like a 55-point favorite. Like they're outrageous. It doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
But you sure as heck wouldn't pick against them.
No. I think Georgia may be the best team in the SEC this year. I don't know.
No.
We'll see. Hey, another text in the show from Tim wanting to know, do you ever get spooked when I know you don't work literally at a funeral home. He works they own cemeteries. But if you're ever in a funeral home or at night, do you ever get spooked? And do they make a red IU coffin? I'm sure they do.
Well, I actually do work in the funeral home as well. We have both a cemetery and a funeral home. So I do work in the funeral home. And no, I don't get spooked by it. And yes, we have red IU caskets, of course.
Oh, there you go, man.
I don't like to bury the red IU caskets, though. I like to keep those pretty up above the ground. The Kentucky caskets, I'll bury those all day long.
There you go, baby. Questions asked, questions answered here.
That's right. We bury Kentucky caskets without anybody in them, just for the heck of it.
That's beautiful. That's perfect. And I bet they're upside down.
Don't care. We kick them. We hit them with baseball bats before we put them in. We do whatever we want with those.
You can donate them to the local high school football. You know that on Friday nights when they get before the games, they got the junk cards out there.
Bashing.
There you go. Perfect.
I'm probably going to get in trouble for this at some point in time. Can I put a disclaimer on there that obviously we don't really do that? I'm just kidding.
Yes, absolutely, because we are totally kidding. Surely they all know that. But what's your big plans for the weekend? Are you just chilling today?
Today is work day. Tomorrow I'll be in Hoosier Land watching the football squad play, enjoying the day down there. Hope to see you.
You're coming into town. All right.
Yes, sir. I thought I might get to see the JC last night on his way back through Evansville, but it was too late for me. I was asleep by then.
Well, yeah, that game ended up going long. I was talking about it just earlier. You did the Kylie soccer game. Man, they won 4-1, brother, on a team that had only given up one goal. One goal is the most they'd given up in any match this season. They beat them 4-1. Kylie scored the go-ahead goal and assisted on the insurance goal.
Sweet. That's 4-1's a blowout in that sport.
That should have been 6-0. They shouldn't have scored, and they should have scored 2 more goals. Actually, Kylie had a shot at the goal.
You sound like a dad. You sound like a dad.
I'm telling you. Get into I take the objectivity hat off right there when it comes to that. Can't help it. Indiana football kicking off at 3:40. Are you going to get to come up and do some tailgating?
Yep. I'm going to be there early. I've got the whole day off. We're coming to see Benjamin, my middle son, and spend the day with the Raiders and Jim Coyle.
I cannot wait. Now, Todd does not drink, so you don't get to take advantage of the fact that this is going to be the first time ever they're selling beer at Memorial Stadium. You can gamble and drink in Memorial Stadium. How crazy is that?
Yeah, those things. That's a whole different world. I'm no Coach Knight moved back to town, but I know he's not going to approve of this.
Yeah, I don't think he's back yet, but yeah, he's moving back. No, he definitely would not. He wasn't a drinker either, was he?
Nope. I never saw or heard of him drinking anything.
Me either. But can you imagine a drunk Bob Knight?
No, absolutely not. The world did not want that. Trust me.
Heck no, man. Heck no. Yeah, there was some crap football last night. The Packers beat the Bears 10-3. Apparently, it was just terrible game. Terrible. But you're going to get to see Michael Penix in action Saturday, man. This dude he's pretty special, I think. He's last week against Ball State, he throws for 326 yards on a debut, bested only by Antoine Randall L. No, you're very familiar with that name. Remember him?
Yep.
But they've got a special team, I think, this year.
Yeah, I mean it's fun that they have some a lot of hype going into it. I think it puts a little pressure on them, which is a good thing. I think they need to live up to for a few years. I think people have been expecting them to get better and see some proof of it, and I think I think they're going to see. I think Indiana fans are going to like the product that's out on the field, at least based on what we saw in the first week. He had threw some interceptions and had some mistakes, but that stuff you can definitely expect. I don't mind that. The fact that he has the ability to put up that kind of productivity is exciting and fun. He'll clean up the mistakes, but the fact that he's got the ability to put up numbers that put you right behind Antoine Randall, obviously you're in a special category there.
Yeah, I don't know how much he'll get to play. I actually asked Coach Allen that question yesterday. How do you balance that? It's week 2, and they're a 35.5-point favorite on this team. So they're probably going to kick the crap out of them is what they better be doing, or they've got other issues. But anyway, you wonder, all right, where's that line? Because he's a freshman. He needs reps. He needs as many reps as you can get, because next week you got the Ohio State Buckeyes coming in. But then you've got that line you got to cross or ride. What's too much? When you take him out to protect him to keep him from getting hurt, it's a fine line you got to balance, man. How do you go about that? How would you go about that if you were a coach?
Yeah, I like the reps. I think it's one of those that I wouldn't treat it like a preseason game where they have like a set schedule on, how many possessions he's going to play and things like that. I would just kind of feel the game out based on how it's going. And I mean, if Indiana's got a decent lead and he's taking some hits, I would, I would probably avoid trying to put him in any positions where he's going to take too many hits. But you're early in the season. I mean, you've only had 4 quarters of actual game speed, and he is a freshman, and you're going to be playing a different speed the following week. So, I would try to get him as many reps as possible. But I mean, I wouldn't play if they have a 30-point lead. I wouldn't play him much in the fourth quarter, primarily because if there is an injury later in the season, you're going to need someone to also have some reps under their belt, and so that'd be a good opportunity for them to do that. So, I wouldn't script it ahead of time. I would plan for it's going to be a tight game, and if you end up getting a big lead, you adjust at that point. But I'm not paid the big bucks like the coaches are, so I'm sure they've got their own philosophy on it.
Yeah, you and me both. A couple of great games on tap this weekend. Unfortunately, Texas A&M, number 12 Texas A&M, taking on number 1 Clemson. Unfortunately, that's at the same time as the Indiana game, so I won't be watching that. But you got number 6 LSU and number 9 Texas that evening, so that should be a pretty daggone good game to watch.
Yeah, there's it's a fun schedule for college football fans because they start the year out with some beauties. So, those should be great. I'll be with you though. I won't be able to see those, but I'll probably tape them and watch them Sunday morning.
Yeah, I'll do the same thing. Kyle Schwarber, former Indiana baseball player, had a big old fat grand salami last night, man. He's hit 34 home runs. That's a career high for him this year. He's rolling.
Yeah, he is legit. He's so much fun to watch, and it's just another proud. He supports IU and is proud to be a Hoosier, and that just makes you feel great when you have a guy like that still, takes Indiana so seriously and puts Indiana so high on his list of people that helped him get along or places that helped him get along. So it's you gotta root for a guy like that, especially as a Hoosier fan and a Cubs fan.
What's it like having a kid in college now, much less at IU? I mean, when you come back, because whether you want to acknowledge it.
It's expensive is what it is.
No discounts for former players, huh?
No, you know what? I was thinking because I had some extra credit hours that I could have used up in my scholarship, they would let me transfer those over to him, but they didn't think that was a good idea. So no, we pay full freight like everyone else does, which that's the way it should be. We don't deserve any special treatment in that regard, but I'm just proud my son goes there and enjoys it and is doing pretty well. So I'm just excited that he's there.
What's the young Benjamin studying?
Anything he can pass.
That sounds like the Todd Leary plan.
It is exactly the Todd Leary plan. I wish he would have got somebody else's brains, but unfortunately he got mine. He's going to study business, but he wants to get into. He has the same goal that I had as a kid, and I wanted to be the general manager of a NBA franchise. And unfortunately, you pretty much need to be an attorney to do that, or have played in the NBA, and we don't qualify under either category. So he'll be readjusting his goals the same as I did.
How soon did it take you to realize that was not going to happen?
Oh, I didn't realize it probably as quick as you think I would have. But after I got out of school and didn't want to coach and didn't want to get into it anymore, obviously at that point I knew that wasn't going to happen. So, but you don't have a good sense of reality when you're in college, and especially playing at IU, and everybody's kissing your butt and telling you how great you are for your whole life. And then you get smacked with the real world, and it's tough. It's tough just like it is for everybody else. But, I probably wasn't as mature as I should have been at that point, and realized I would have done things differently. I tell you, I say this all the time, but that's why our managers are so successful that were under Coach Knight, that were there, because those guys learned the work ethic. They knew what they wanted to do, and man, they stuck to it. And shoot, I think definitely in life after basketball, I would say our managers are every bit, if not more successful than the players have been, for sure.
It's a unique take, but there's a lot of truth to that, and those guys work hard too, man.
Oh my gosh, the hours they put in! I mean, when they get a job in the real world, they feel like they're on vacation because they're getting time off, which they never had for 4 years. I can tell you that.
Earlier, when we were talking about burying caskets upside down, Tim texted in, Knight's made for burying upside down.
That's what he asked for, wasn't it?
That's exactly it. I'm like, that's a great one, Tim. That's a great catch there, man. Yeah, that famous that was almost senior night. I forget when that was, but that was after you were out of school, I believe.
No, I was there. It was either my junior year or senior year. It was one.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Perfect. Oh, that's hilarious. Hilarious.
Why they bury me upside down so my critics can kiss my ass. Yeah,
that's it, man. That's the most famous quote. All right. Brother, the Toddfather, I can't thank you enough. Love having you on. Look forward to it. I can't wait to see you tomorrow.
I'm excited. We got a lot to talk about tomorrow. I'll see you down there.
All right, brother. Have a good, safe trip, and look forward to it then. The Toddfather, Todd Leary, making his weekly appearance. Thanks, brother.
See you, boss.
All right, we got a lot more coming up here. Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Indiana is going to join us next. Man, that's always fun. That was even more fun than normal today. We're in rare form. It's but it's Friday. TGIF. Todd gives it Friday, something like that. That works out. Hey, stay tuned. We got a lot more coming up from Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Back right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make it tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
When I say this love will...
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, of course, coming to you here on this Friday, September 6th from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on a Game Day Friday. Prior to game day. We're joined now by Tom Brew from Sports Illustrated Indiana. How's it going, Thomas?
It's going great, Jim. Happy Friday to you.
Happy Friday, day before game day, week 2 of college football. A little action last night in the NFL. I don't know if you saw that, but apparently that was just a terrible game.
Yep, as a Bears fan, I watched every minute of it, and I agree it was terrible. But that's absolute further proof, that like these guys never played in the preseason, and they all looked like they never saw an opposing defense last night. It was ugly. 10-3 game, and one good drive from both teams all night long. That was it. So.
And that brings to mind a lot. I've been talking a lot about the fact that the improvement that happens quickly once the season gets underway. You're talking about Indiana, the improvement from weeks 1 to week 2, and cleaning those things up that we saw last week against Ball State, drop passes, missed tackles, things like that. Of course, the competition level is probably not as good. Indiana's a 35.5-point favorite tomorrow, but expecting to see a lot more sharper offense.
Well, I looked at this a little bit differently. I mean, I thought the offense, for the most part, was pretty sharp. Michael Penix in his first start, he had the 2 interceptions. One that was totally on him, and the other one that he has to take partial blame for. But he made a lot of really good throws. He, really did. And the running game, which really struggled in the first half, it showed some moments in the second half. And what I really liked was, in goal line situations, they pounded it in when they had to. So it's like, I gave them a B grade, on Saturday on, overall on the offense, and I thought they did some good things. But, the whole thing about week 1 to week 2 is, we should see substantial improvement this week just because of the level of the competition. But, it's, I think it's the good way the schedule breaks, because this could be a great week to clean some stuff up and getting ready for week 3 in Ohio State.
Yeah, and one of the things that I asked Coach Allen yesterday is, in a game like this, where Indiana's a 35.5-point favorite, so obviously they ought to be kicking the crap out of this team. But you've got a young quarterback in Michael Penix, a redshirt freshman, who needs the reps, especially as you're preparing for Ohio State next week. But where's that line that you get him the reps, but you get him out of a game if it gets out of hand so he doesn't get hurt?
Well, there's always the fear of injury, but I think we'll have to just kind of like he said, play it by ear, because the one thing we always have to remember too, just like last week at Tennessee, when they were a 4-touchdown favorite against Georgia State and got beat, it's just you don't know how this game's going to go. I mean, Indiana's a huge favorite, but Eastern Illinois, for a small, FCS school, still has a lot of tradition of winning games, and they played an SEC team tough last year and scored 20. So, I mean, there's no guarantee, in other words, that Indiana is going to be winning 42-0 at halftime, and you're just trying to decide how much longer you want to play Michael, because it may not be the case, and it's just he may need to play longer, and it's okay if he does. But at the same token, I mean, if Peyton Ramsey had to play a quarter, I wouldn't have a problem with that, because I think, we all know injuries happen at some point, and is Michael going to be able to play every minute of every game for all 13 games during the course of this season? I don't know if he will or not. So, if Peyton Ramsey gets a little bit of playing time, I don't think that's a bad thing.
Oh, absolutely not. And especially, you're not going to get any drop off. That's the thing where most teams, especially early in the season, if they bring in a backup quarterback, it's a pretty substantial drop off. That's not going to be the case if that happens. You got a guy that's stepping in that's been starting for 2 years.
Yeah, but we talked about this all of August. I mean, there is some drop off because we think Michael's that much better of a quarterback than Peyton is. But like he absolutely can play. And coaches and players, and even the wide receivers that I talked to earlier in the week, for a story that I wrote yesterday, hey, like Watt Fillier, he and Michael Penix are both from Tampa, both really good friends. And he even said, during the course of August, that all three of those guys really played well, and anybody could have won that job. And whoever's out there, they'd be confident that they could win football games with. So it is all there. It can happen, and that is the one nice thing about having back-to-back good recruiting classes, is there is finally some depth on this team. Whereas in many, many years, one substantial injury would just ruin this team, and I don't think that's the case anymore. I think there's good depth at just about every layer on both the offense and the defense.
Absolutely. And some of the areas that they need to continue to improve on are both lines, the offensive line and the defensive line. The defensive line is really just getting experience, because they're rotating in 8, 9, 10 guys, a lot of youthful, inexperienced guys as they go along each week, gaining more experience, obviously, but they're going to have to grow up as quickly as possible, because the big boys come to town starting next week.
Sure. Well, I thought they were really good against the run against Ball State. They only Ball State made a commitment to run against this team, thinking that they could. And they ran it 40 times and only gained 100 yards. 2.5 yards a carry, and Indiana will take that every single game. And everybody all week long talked about how well disciplined they were, that defensive line, in regards to maintaining their gaps, and they did a great job. And with a lot of those veteran guys that we were worried about, are they going to get pushed to the wayside by the kids? They really played well, and I thought the defensive ends had a pretty good game as well. And I would like to see a little bit more pressure on the quarterback this week. I think they would too, but I think a lot of that was taking sort of some baby steps that first week, and and maybe not playing at 100% full speed just for fear of making a mistake or things like that. But I think we'll see a lot more of that this week, and then we'll see how well they can hold up a week from Saturday. But I am looking forward to being at Memorial Stadium, and it's nice to have the first on-campus game of the year. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely looking forward to that. Also, people can drink and gamble this week now at Memorial Stadium. It's crazy. Legally, you can legally drink and gamble.
Well, they can drink at Memorial Stadium. They can't physically go place a bet at Memorial Stadium, but they can. I didn't mean buy a beer now, which is a good thing. So.
Right, I mismeant. Gambling is now legal, so it's just very odd that now you can drink and participate in gambling in some form. But to see all those changes at once is pretty mind-boggling.
Yes, it is. But I think it's a great idea. I've been in college atmospheres through the years where beer sales were allowed, and it does make life a lot easier and more convenient if you want a beer instead of having to drink your fill, while you're tailgating. So it's, so hopefully it'll keep some people in the stadium a little bit longer too. And, because I do think the product is better, and that's always, all the other stuff, it's all window dressing as long as the product is good, it's, hopefully we'll start to see some good crowds, and crowds that stay from beginning to end.
Offensively, I'm sure the Indiana would like to see a little more play with the running back, what they can do. They didn't really get on track that way last week. Of course, Stevie Scott coming off a spectacular freshman campaign, and they have a great running backs room. I think they're still feeling out this Kalen DeBoer scheme and how he's going to get everybody involved in that running game. But I expect to see a lot more Stevie Scott and the rest of those guys this week.
I think so too. When I think sort of how Eastern Illinois plays them, will help dictate that a little bit too. I mean, Ball State was adamant about taking the runaway last week, and what was nice about Kalen DeBoer and what was nice about Michael Penix and he being on the same page was that they saw a lot of those short passes were there for the taking, and they took them. And I think that's the way this offense is going to be all year long. Where they have weapons everywhere now. They can run it, they can throw it, and they can mix it up. And then when Michael has to tuck it and run himself, that's a threat. So I think if Eastern Illinois tries to load the box like crazy again, then they probably will throw a lot more. But they've been working. It's like the whole week 1 to week 2 thing. They've been working really hard all week in practice, in running against 8-man fronts and doing those type of things. And I think we'll see them be more creative too, with some different things to kind of loosen defenses up. The one jet sweep they ran with Wop turned out really good for 22 yards. I think we might maybe see a little bit more of that in the running game too, or maybe a few other wrinkles. But maybe you save the surprises for next week. This may be a little vanilla here this week. We'll see.
On the basketball side, the TV schedule times all came out yesterday. Anything jump off the table to you?
Well, I mean, it's I always kind of laugh when those things come out because, in the old days, you kind of look to see which 8 or 10 or 12 games, they played every year that were like quote unquote national TV games. Well, now every game is on and every game is sort of on a national front. So, I mean, obviously, like to me, I looked, real quick at the Purdue games and when they are. And I look at, those December games, which we kind of already knew, just by the nature of some of those matchups, because they were sort of made for TV events and they'd be primetime things. So it's, and then, a lot of the November stuff really isn't, but we sort of expected that too. So it's, but that's okay. It's like, that is the joy these days of how cable television works, is that, basically, literally every game, not only Indiana, but, every game that all 14 teams in the Big Ten play, are pretty much you're able to find them somewhere. And for me, it's not so much about being on the network broadcast or this and that anymore. We all know how to find the games and we all know how to record them if we can't get right to them. And but it's and then when the schedule in advance already anyway. Like to me, this is a little bit anticlimactic, but it is nice to kind of fill those extra spots on the schedule form, so dates and times and places. And of course, you kind of look for in my little new world now, you sort of look for conflicts to see when Indiana's playing and when some other team is playing on the same day. So.
Also, Archie Miller extends an offer to New York point guard Andre Curbelo. Plays up in Long Island. He's originally from Puerto Rico, but the point guard spot is something he's been trying to land for a couple of years. But this is a guy who's got offers from a lot of different places, Kansas, Louisville, so forth. Pretty good player coming on the heels of a most recent commitment from Mr. Geronimo. See if they can land this guy. Have you seen anything to do with that?
I have not seen anything final yet. I see he's got some visits scheduled. So yeah, I think we probably got some time for this one to play out here in the next month or so. But I agree with you completely. I mean, it's obviously he's signed gotten commitments from the 3 guys so far. They're all sort of 2 guards or threes, small forward types. And it's just really, really important to get a point guard in this class at some point. And and the Carvello kid, I honestly don't know much about. Haven't seen him play, but I've watched some of his tapes and looked at some of the stuff when I saw that offer went out. And he looks jet quick. He looks like he handles the ball well, and he's played against a lot of really good competition all summer long. So it's could be a good get. And I'd like to, but they've got room for at least one and maybe two more people for sure in this class. And I would love to see a point guard and a big guy kind of round it out a little bit.
What's new on the site? What do you got going for the people to read?
Well, we had a really good interactive week. Getting a lot of Twitter followers now as well at Tom Brew Sports, and that's been growing, and a lot of good stories. And to be honest, Tom Allen doesn't look ahead, and the players don't look ahead, and they can say all they want about Eastern Illinois being the most important game of the year because it's this week's game. But I am getting well prepared for some really good content. Next week, in regards to Indiana, Ohio State, and including two stories that I know nobody will have, and so that's what I'm trying to do is kind of a lot of unique big picture stuff, and we'll take a look back at a few things and look ahead a little bit, and I'm really excited about next week and what all that brings. So it's going to be a big time atmosphere, I think, and I'm sure I'm in a minority, but I think Indiana has a chance to compete well and maybe even win that game next week.
Well, I'd say that you're not in a minority since there's a lot of fans think Indiana has a shot to win that game. Of course, fans tend to think that way, but I'm in agreement for a couple of reasons. And I've purposely gone out of the way, haven't really talked about Ohio State because I'm trying to do the right thing and not skip ahead. It's kind of hard not to, especially when it's such a momentous game. It's going to be a huge game. Memorial Stadium will be sold out without doubt. Ohio State is a top 5 team, but Indiana's got some things going for it. They're catching them in a coaching change, and I know that Ryan Day was there on staff, and he actually coached some games last year when Urban Meyer was suspended. But if you look back, and you know this as well as anybody spending the time in Florida that you did, when Urban Meyer left Florida, Florida had the same talent that next season, but they lost several games, and so there is a change. There is an effect on that. I don't know whether that's how much that's going to come into play, but I think that bodes well for Indiana.
Yeah, I think so. It's when Urban Meyer left Florida, that following year, that team was obviously they lost Tim Tebow too, but they lost. They had a bunch of. I think they had 5 NFL draft picks on that team, and they still only went 7-6, and so that was a big drop off. And I don't see that happening necessarily this year at Ohio State, but I definitely do see them losing 2 or 3 games. And and they have a tough game this week with Cincinnati. So it's it's going to be a neighborhood brawl with Luke Fickell coaching that Cincinnati team, and that's going to be a very hard, very tough, very physical game. Which that might bode well for Indiana too if Ohio State has to come in here and beat up a little bit. So it's it's wishful thinking. I'm sure I haven't seen the long term lines yet, but I would think Ohio State will probably still be a 2-touchdown favorite here or something along those lines. And it's certainly a long shot for Indiana to win. But I think, I think when they're turning the corner here, that's the whole idea, as this team gets better and the talent gets better, is how can you play against the big boys? How can you finally, cross that line of demarcation in the Big Ten East and join that group at the top instead of always being stuck in that group at the bottom.
Where can everybody find your information? I know we're still at Maven.
Yeah, we still just for a few more weeks. You just go to mavensports.io/Indiana, and you can find everything there on the site. There's been we posted over 40 stories in August and some good stuff there. Football and basketball both. More to come. And then we're just doing all the finalizing pieces of the merger with Sports Illustrated. I'm very hopeful that in the next week or two, the tag will be easy to find at si.com/Indiana. But you can I post everything to Twitter and Facebook as well. You can find me there at Tom Brew Sports on Twitter. And then you can find me on Facebook as well. And then we're launching next week in conjunction with the IU Ohio State game. An Indiana Hoosiers on Sports Illustrated Facebook page as well, and we'll start to build up. Content on there as well.
Thomas, we'll see you tomorrow at Memorial Stadium.
Thanks, Jim. Let's have a good Saturday. Looking forward to it, and hopefully we get a good crowd out there.
Absolutely. Tom Brew from Maven Sports Indiana. We'll be back. Well, actually, Tom, thanks a lot. We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thanks a lot for coming on.
My pleasure, Jim. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, we got a lot of, like I said earlier, we got a lot of sports going on this weekend. If you're looking for something to do this evening, you can head out to Wilkinson Hall. The Indiana volleyball team's taking on the Oklahoma Sooners, a Power 5 opponent. Then on Sunday, they're going to be playing Yale. Yale has a player on there that's a niece of Joe Hillman, who was a member of Indiana's 87 national championship team. Women's soccer, I think they play Sunday at Bill Armstrong Stadium against Morehead State. The men's soccer team, they're on the road all weekend. They're up in South Bend. They play Seattle on Sunday, and then today they play Denver. So you got that going on. So plenty to get to, plenty to do. And then, of course, tomorrow it's kickoff Saturday, baby, for week 2. The Indiana Hoosiers taking on Eastern Illinois. That's a 3:40 kickoff time. That was originally a noon game, but I think the Big Ten Network got involved, and so that game has been kicked out a little bit, which is fine with me because that gives you plenty of time to tailgate, baby, to come on out. So hope to see you guys out there. We're going to be on the north side somewhere directly behind the stadium. We'll have the banner up for Indiana Sports Beat, so feel free to stop by. This is our first week, so we don't know exactly where we're going to be, who we're going to be hanging with, but hope you get to have a lot of fun and tailgate and come out. Most importantly, come out. It should be a fun time. Get to see Michael Penix and crew, see what all they can get done. Of course, the Toddfather's going to be there. If you can find me, you'll find the Toddfather as well, so look forward to that. Thanks a lot to Jake, to Tom Brew, to the Toddfather himself, Todd. We got to hear from Tom Allen and Steve Aird from the Indiana volleyball team. That's going to wrap it up for us. It's been a great week here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We're back with Monday with more complete coverage. Until then, I will see you on the radio.